She looked 19, just 19. But her name didn't show up in any birth record. No digital footprint, no paper trail, like she never existed. Locals called her Emma. She appeared in different cities, always the same age. And always alone. Some said she was a scam artist, others whispered the word immortal. But the truth, it was far stranger and far more terrifying than anyone dared to imagine. The first real clue came from a museum archivist in Maine. A black and white photograph from 1923, a town parade. There she was, standing by a lamppost, same face, same eyes, same youth. The photo was authenticated, no edits, no manipulation. And behind her, the same pendant she still wore today. She hadn't aged, not in 100 years. But no one knew where she'd been before that. Emma stayed in one place for exactly 10 years, no more, no less. Then she'd vanish, new identity, new town, same youthful face. Landlords described her as polite, quiet, rarely left her apartment. Doctors said she never visited clinics, no medical records. She paid in cash, always. It was like she didn't want to be found. But somehow, someone always did. In 1987, she was hit by a car in Chicago. Taken unconscious to the hospital, her fingerprints ran blank. No scars, no dental work, no history. She awoke before they could run blood work. Left barefoot in a hospital gown into the night. Security footage caught her walking calmly, disappearing into an alley. And then gone. She didn't want help. She just wanted out. But that night she left something behind, something chilling. Before she woke up, the ER scanned her body. The technician noticed something odd. Her bones too dense, unnaturally perfect. No signs of age, no signs of growth plates closing. It was like she hadn't aged since adolescence. The file was flagged and later deleted. But a copy survived in a doctor's notebook. A copy that would resurface 30 years later. And when it did, the mystery reignited. No family, no past, no fingerprints. Emma was a ghost wrapped in a teenage body. But certain patterns emerged. Every decade, she visited the same cemetery in Massachusetts. Same day, same grave. No name on the headstone, just the date, 1823. Why would a 19-year-old visit a 200-year-old grave again and again? Unless that was where her story began. And maybe where someone else's ended. Gravediggers called it the silent stone. Unmarked, weathered, but always clean. Fresh flowers appeared every June 3rd, the day she came. One time, someone followed her. Emma stood still, eyes closed, whispered something. Then left a single lock of hair at the grave. DNA tests were inconclusive. But the hair wasn't human. Not entirely. And that changed everything. A Reddit user claimed to have met a woman just like Emma in Paris. Also looked 19, also no ID. She vanished in 2011, same pattern. Another showed up in Tokyo, same pendant. Could there be more like her? Not immortal, but a kind of traveler. One who lives forever, but never truly belongs. Or worse, was Emma running from them? And if so, why? The pendant Emma always wore was no ordinary trinket. Historians traced its design back to an obscure sect in 1790s New England. A group obsessed with time, rituals, and celestial alignment. The pendant matched a drawing in a band journal, one that mentioned preservation of form. It wasn't meant to be jewelry. It was part of something larger, something lost. Or maybe something never meant to be found. Dr. Halvorson, the physician who saved Emma's X-ray, vanished in 2019. No signs of break-in, house left unlocked. The only thing missing, his notebook. The one with Emma's scans, her timeline, her anomalies. Neighbors said he'd been acting paranoid. He told one friend, "She's not from here, not from now." The next day, he was gone. No one's heard from him since. In a coastal home in Salem, a diary surfaced, dated 1825. Its pages described a girl, ageless, alone, afraid. She watches the shore, says they're coming, that she cannot return. The writer called her Elira, not Emma. She never ate, never slept. At night, she'd whisper to the moon in a language no one knew. Then one day, she vanished. Just like Emma does now. Elira, or Emma, always moved on the same moon phase. A waxing crescent. It aligned with ancient maritime rituals and a long-forgotten calendar used by seers in the 1700s. She didn't just vanish randomly. She followed a cycle, a pattern hidden in time. But why? Was she hiding or returning somewhere? And more importantly, was someone waiting? In 1974, a fire destroyed a small university library in Vermont. It began in the archives, specifically the shelf marked Temporal Anthropology. One journal survived, barely legible. It mentioned a girl named Elira who walked backward through decades, who cannot stay longer than 10 moons lest she unravels. That journal disappeared. Some believe Emma or someone like her came back to erase it. A demolition crew in New Bedford found a hidden room behind a sealed brick wall. Inside, candles, nautical maps, handwritten notes in Latin. On the floor, a circle drawn in ash. And in the center, another pendant, identical to Emma's. One note read, "Preserve the vessel, or all time bleeds." No one knew who wrote it, but the handwriting matched the 1825 diary. Exactly. Emma might not be the only one. A man arrested in 1956, never identified, looked 25. In 1997, a photo of him surfaced, unchanged. Same eyes, same calm stare. Same pendant. No record of release. Some say he escaped, others that he was taken. Emma's never spoken about him. But one thing is clear. If she's hiding, she's not hiding from time, she's hiding from him. Witnesses say Emma has a strange way of disappearing. Not running, not hiding. Just stepping into crowds, alleys, doorways, and not coming back out. One CCTV camera caught it once. A clear view, she entered a shop. Never left. The shopkeeper said she was never inside. The footage was deleted the next day. By who? No one knows. In 2002, a linguist claimed to have heard Emma speak an unrecorded language. He spent years decoding fragments she muttered at a library desk. The result, an ancient root dialect predating Indo-European. Some words translated to weight of time, body as prison, watcher returns. He published the findings. 2 weeks later, he withdrew the paper. Said it was all a hoax. But his assistant leaked the draft. It's real. The watcher returns. That phrase echoed across every account. What was it? A being, a force, a cycle. Some believe Emma was marked, chosen to outlast time itself. Others think she's cursed, a vessel meant to delay something. But whatever the watcher is, she fears it. That fear is the only emotion she's ever shown. And it always grows strongest when the moon turns crescent. Emma's pendant wasn't unique. At least 7 identical ones have been found in burial sites, museums, even sunken ships. Each one dated to a different century. Each one tied to an unknown woman who didn't age. No names, no graves, just stories. All with one thing in common. They disappeared. Not died, not buried. Gone, just like Emma, and just like she. None of them stayed longer than 10 years. Every decade, a lighthouse in Cape Ann activates for one night, no scheduled maintenance, no staff. Locals call it the calling. Emma's been seen nearby each time. She stares at the light, lips moving silently. Then disappears by morning. What's the signal for? Is it calling her home? or warning something not to come closer. No one's dared follow her. Not yet. A travel blogger posted a photo from Iceland, 2023. A girl in the background. Young, dark coat. Same pendant, same eyes. Posted at 8:32 p.m. Deleted by 8:35. But someone saved it. Geodata shows the spot, 300 meters from an ancient volcanic ritual site. A location used to mark celestial shifts and anchor the veil. Emma was there. And she wasn't alone. Beneath the Icelandic rocks, they found a chamber. Walls etched in symbols, a shallow pool at the center, and a stone table with fresh fingerprints. No light source. No entrance except down. A pendant was left on the table, melted in half, and written on the wall in blood-red script. Open once more and time will starve. Emma had been there. But what had she opened? A handwritten note was left inside a weathered book in Reykjavik. 6 words in perfect English. Do not follow the girl, ever. No signature, no context. But the ink, carbon dated, was from 1841. How did a modern note age backwards? And who was it meant for? Researchers tried to trace the book, but it disappeared 2 days later. Same as Emma. Same as every clue she ever leaves behind. Between 1939 and 1950, Emma vanished completely. No sightings, no photos. But every 11 years, disaster struck the same 3 towns she once visited. Floods, fires, one unexplained blackout that lasted 36 hours. Locals called it the Hollow Night. No evidence linked her, but she returned to all 3 towns in 1951. Looking unchanged, carrying a new journal, and written inside just 3 chilling words. It didn't work. A retired physicist became obsessed with Emma's movement. He mapped every sighting from 1823 to 2020. What he found was stunning. A spiral not random, not linear. It curved inwards, always circling back to one point. Asylum, the origin. He believed she was trapped in a decaying orbit of time. Every pass closer to collapse. And when she hits the center, time itself might break. An old reel-to-reel tape labeled Alira Test 4 surfaced in 1984. The voice, soft, female, said only fragments. I don't remember the beginning. It mustn't stay too long. He watches through the cold. Then static. Scientists ran spectral analysis. The waveform didn't match human speech patterns. Not completely. As if 2 voices overlapped, hers and something else. Multiple witnesses reported something strange about Emma's eyes. They weren't unnatural, just too calm. Too still. One described it as looking through the surface of a frozen lake. Another said they changed color briefly during thunderstorms. From brown to silver. And once to pure black. Every time she would leave town soon after. Almost like she knew. The illusion was slipping. An old lighthouse keeper in Cape Ann kept a hidden log. Dated entries every 10 years. Each one noted a girl watching the beam, silent, unmoving. He wrote, she listens, but not to the sea. In 1973, his final entry read, she wept today, first time in 50 years, said he remembers me now, then she vanished. The log ended there. So did the keeper's life. Heart failure, no warning. In 2016, a 6-year-old boy in Montana drew a picture. A girl in a black coat standing in fire. He'd never seen Emma. But when shown a photo, he froze. That's her, he said. She came in my dream, said I'll remember her again. Doctors said it was imagination. Until they found a pendant under his pillow. Old, burned, and nothing the family owned. A museum in London displayed an ancient hourglass in 2007. Unlabeled, cracked. Emma visited once and stared for nearly an hour. Security footage showed her lips moving like a chant. After she left, the hourglass shattered. Grains spilled across the marble floor. But they didn't scatter. They formed a spiral, identical to the physicist's map. Another pattern, another warning. In 1988, a hiker claimed to see Emma arguing with a man near Devil's Tower. He wore black, calm, didn't blink. But the hiker noticed something terrifying. The man had no shadow, even in direct sunlight. Emma looked frightened. The hiker turned away just seconds and they were gone. But later in town, he found a photograph, taken in 1931. Same man, unaged, still shadowless. In Belgium, a sealed chamber was discovered. Clocks inside ticked backward. No dust, no decay. One wall bore the message. Emma failed, we must not. The date carved below, 1892. Tests confirmed it was genuine. Inside, another pendant was found, fractured in two. One half missing. The same half Emma wears now. Whatever happened in that room, time never recovered. Children in a rural village in Greece claim they heard a voice from an abandoned well. One girl said she sings to the stars. Recordings picked up only one phrase. He waits at the edge. Locals filled the well with cement. But that night, stars above the village disappeared for 6 minutes. No clouds, no power loss, just darkness. Emma was seen nearby, staring straight up, unmoving. Only one journalist ever spoke to Emma. Brief, accidental. He said she looked tired, older somehow. He asked, "What are you running from?" She paused, then whispered, "Not running, buying time." Then walked away. He never saw her again. But 2 days later, his watch stopped permanently. And no repair shop could fix it. It simply refused to tick. As if time itself was avoiding him. In 2021, a construction crew in rural Oregon uncovered 11 graves. No names, no dates. Just pendants, identical to Emma's. They were arranged in a perfect circle, facing outward. One pendant was cracked. Like hers, a geologist dated the soil, untouched since 1812. But one flower was fresh, plucked the day before. No explanation. Emma was spotted in the area hours later. A Super 8 film reel was found in a Paris thrift shop. Silent, black and white. A girl walking backwards through city streets. Frame by frame, her surroundings aged in reverse, buildings rewinding, cars vanishing. Only she moved forward. The final frame. Her face close up. Eyes open. Mouth moving. Then the film burns itself inside the projector. On screen, one word etched in flame. Return. Emma's cycle always followed 3 phases: arrival, anchor, departure. But old records mentioned a 4th, echo. A time where she duplicates. Exists in 2 places at once. One copy anchored to the present. The other to where she once was. A ripple. And ripples leave cracks. If too many appear at once, the veil breaks. And what lies behind it is not meant for us. Last sighting, June 3rd. Same date, same grave. But this time, Emma wasn't alone. A second girl appeared beside her. Same face, same clothes, mirror perfect. Then both turned and walked opposite directions. The spiral has turned again. And for the first time in 200 years. Emma isn't the only one walking through time. Whatever's coming has already begun. She looked like Emma, moved like her, even wore the same pendant. But something was off. Witnesses say her eyes were darker, less human. She didn't blink. She didn't breathe. And when a stranger tried to speak to her, she vanished mid-step. Not walked away, disappeared. Emma's always been strange. But this one, she wasn't trying to survive time. She was trying to replace something. In 2022, satellite sonar detected a strange formation off the Icelandic coast. A spiral 700 feet wide, carved into the ocean floor. Identical to the physicist's map and Emma's pendant. Divers reported headaches, nausea, and voices. One word repeated underwater. Alira. They brought nothing back. Not even the sonar. As if the sea had swallowed the memory itself. A woman in Denmark began sleepwalking. Always at 3:33 a.m. Always to the sea. She spoke in her sleep a language no one recognized. Linguists said it wasn't earthly. Her blood work changed, markers of rapid cell regeneration. She'd never met Emma. But when shown the pendant, she screamed. Said only, "She's not lost, she's waiting." The woman vanished days later. Clothes folded. Window open. Seismologists studying tectonic plates noticed something impossible. A recurring tremor every 3,653 days, exactly 10 years. Each time it aligned with Emma's relocations. But the tremor didn't follow fault lines. It followed her spiral. One scientist wrote, "This isn't geology, it's a countdown." He was dismissed. Then he vanished. His last email. The fracture isn't in Earth, it's in time. A collector bought a sealed trunk from 1830. Inside, a leather-bound diary. Blank, until the new moon. Then handwriting appeared. Emma's name. Then sketches of modern buildings, today's sky. No one touched the pages. But every 10 days, new entries formed. Last page showed a drawing of the spiral. Then 4 words. One more turn left. The diary hasn't written since. But it's warm to the touch. Something changed in 2025. Emma appeared in 2 places simultaneously. For the first time, the spiral broke. Astronomers recorded a timestamp anomaly. 2 hours vanished. Across global clocks. No explanation. Just silent. And Emma, both versions collapsed the next day. Same time. Different places. Same words on their lips. It's loose now. What is? And who will it find first? Beneath Harvard's oldest library lies a sealed vault. No records, no key. Sealed in 1832. But heat sensors show life signs inside, faint, steady. The knocking started in March. 3 times, always at 2:19 a.m. Security dismissed it. Until one night they heard a whisper. "She bought you time, now return it." The door remains sealed. But the knocking hasn't stopped. Across 3 continents, amateur astronomers documented the same thing. Stars missing, only briefly. Like someone erased sections of the sky, then put them back. One wrote, "They were blinking like eyes closing, opening." Each incident aligned with Emma's timeline. Something or someone is watching. Not from above, but through folds we were never meant to see. Emma saw them first, and never looked away. An archivist found a portrait dated 1794. A girl, same pendant. But her name was Emma or Elira. It was Imara, Latin root eternal. Her eyes held something younger but colder. Like she hadn't lived through time, she was time. She didn't smile, didn't pose, just stared. And at the bottom corner, barely visible. Cycle 1 of 9. How many Emmas have there been? And how many more will there be? A monastery in Portugal kept a hidden calendar. It didn't count forward. It counted down. From 3,653. Each year one number marked in red. Each 10 years a circle. Then in 1823 it reset. All markings erased. Emma's arrival year. The monks called it the breath between time. They died in silence. No cause found. Just red spirals carved into stone. In every ancient spiral, cave, temple map, one figure repeats. Not Emma. Something taller, cloaked. Standing outside the spiral. The monks called it the one who waits. Emma avoids the spiral's edge. Never steps beyond it. Never looks out. But now the spiral is breaking. And that figure, it's moving. Each time Emma appears, it's closer. What happens when it reaches the center? A town in northern Canada lost 3 hours. No memories, no damage, just missing time. They only knew because security cameras showed the sun jump. From mid-morning to dusk, instantly. Every clock reset, but on one wall drawn in chalk. She stalled it again, thank her. No one remembers writing it. But one witness saw her. Emma, crying in the snow. Emma rarely looked in mirrors. And when she did, she blinked too late. Her reflection lagged just a moment. Enough to unsettle. Enough to suggest it wasn't hers. One hotel staff saw her reflection smile when Emma didn't. Moments later, every mirror in the building cracked. Not shattered. Cracked inward from the inside. She left that night. No explanation. Just 3 words etched on glass. She says now. The spiral isn't closing anymore. It's expanding. Emma's sightings grow wider, less predictable. 2 in a day. 3 in 1 hour. She's splitting, echoes multiplying. But they're unstable. One collapsed in a subway. Another disintegrated mid-step. Emma's form is fracturing. And the more she breaks, the more the spiral stretches. Until one day soon, it may not return to center. In a mirror maze exhibit, 2 children got lost. Found hours later unharmed. But both claim they saw 4 Emmas. One smiled, one cried. One asked for help. And one stood silent, bleeding black from her eyes. They drew them later. Identical, except one wore no pendant. The guide reviewed footage. No one entered behind them. No one else left. But that maze is now permanently closed. At a gallery in Prague, a mirror installation stopped working. But not from damage. From time. Security footage showed Emma entering. Every clock in the building froze. Visitors moved in slow motion, seconds stretched into minutes. Emma stood before the mirror and whispered, "We were never meant to last." When she left, time snapped back. But one visitor still hasn't aged, and no longer casts a reflection. Across the world, devices began syncing to an unknown source. Phones, radios, even wristwatches. All displayed the same sequence. 00100000. Then ticked down, 1 day at a time. Emma was seen in an abandoned train station, watching it happen. She didn't intervene, just sat on a bench and wept. When asked what it meant, she said, "When the spiral ends, everything outside it gets in." In a newly uncovered chamber in Spain, 11 carvings lined the wall. Each a woman, each wearing the pendant. Their eyes scratched out. Underneath names Amara, Elira, Elson, M. All variations, all leading to one last name, Emma. The 12th was unfinished. No face, no name. Only one phrase etched below. The last keeper, meaning Emma isn't the first. But she might be the final. A cryptographer mapped Emma's locations backward. Not in a spiral, but in spirals inside spirals, each echo forming its own loop, each loop connected to an anomaly in time. He called it the core fracture, the place where all cycles begin and end. And that place, it wasn't just a point, it was a date. June 3rd, 1823. Emma's beginning, and possibly time's ending. In one remote village, time stopped. Literally. No sun movement, no heartbeats. Just silent. For 6 full minutes. Then restarted. Everyone alive but changed. Eyes dilated, skin cooler. And all of them whispered the same thing. She walked through us. Emma never stayed. But wherever she passes now, time folds to let her through. And something else might be following behind. Astronomers tracking Emma's path say the spiral is gone. Not stretched, collapsed. Her locations no longer make sense. She appears before she vanishes. Speaks before she arrives. The pattern is broken. And when the pattern breaks, so does the seal. The one thing that kept it locked outside. She's no longer looping. She's blading through. And every version of her is screaming at once. Only one pendant remains. It surfaced in Alaska, buried in permafrost. Inside a metal fragment glowing faint blue. Emma found it, held it for hours, then said one word. Reset. Some believe it's a key. Others a fuse. But if the pendant activates, it won't stop time. It'll rewrite it. And this time she may not survive the loop. A museum intern found an envelope in a locked drawer. Addressed to whoever remembers. Inside a letter. Emma's handwriting. I was the 13th. I bought time for them for us, but I failed. She ends with, seal it again or everything forgotten will remember us. Signed E. The letter is dated 1823. But the ink, fresh. No one knows how it got there. But everyone who read it dreams of spirals. Emma's duplicates, the echoes, are no longer silent. They speak, in unison, not words but tones. Frequencies only certain people hear. Those who do vanish within days. One man left a message before he disappeared. The tones are commands, and I understood them. Now entire towns report hearing hums at dusk. The spiral isn't just turning. It's calling. In a forest clearing in Finland, a perfect circle of scorched earth appeared. No burn source, no radiation. In the center, a girl. Collapsed. Not Emma, but someone new. Younger, a different face. Wearing the same pendant. She opened her eyes once, and every compass nearby spun wildly. Then she whispered, "It's not her story anymore," and disappeared in a flash of light. An ER in Boston admitted a girl who aged in reverse. From 19 to 18 to 17. In hours, her cells inverted. Doctors couldn't stop it. Before she dissolved, she whispered, "She's giving back what was stolen," then vanished into mist. Emma was seen nearby, eyes hollow, coat soaked in rain. She looked straight at the camera and mouthed something no one can explain. We end where we began. Across libraries and archives, a gap appeared. 1 year missing from all records. Not deleted, forgotten. Even historians didn't notice. Until one journalist traced the last known event. An Emma sighting dated June 3rd, 2026. Then nothing. People remember being alive, but not what they did. As if time itself blinked. And Emma was the only one who didn't forget. Beneath the floorboards of a collapsed cabin, one final spiral was carved. Crowed deep, and at its center a single black feather. DNA tests said it wasn't bird, not animal, unclassifiable. Emma was never seen in that region, but her handwriting appeared nearby. It followed me through. No one knows what it was. But after that day, the spiral never appeared again. And neither did Emma. Some say Emma wasn't fleeing. She was letting it away. The Watcher, the thing outside time. It never reached her. But it saw through her. And maybe for a moment it saw us. That's when the clock started to drift. Seconds out of sync. Reality slightly off. Emma gave us centuries. Now she's gone. And the Watcher is looking for something else to hold on to. She wasn't immortal. She wasn't a ghost. She was time splintered into a girl, made to carry our history, our delays, our fear of endings. Now the loop is closed, the spiral gone, but every once in a while, someone sees her, on a train, in a mirror, across a rainy street. Always 19, always silent, and always just out of reach. Because some stories never really end. Teachers from 5 countries reported the same thing. Children ages 6 to 10 drawing a girl. Same face, same pendant. None knew her name. When asked, they said, "She's from the time before." Some added spirals around her. Others drew her floating. A few drew her burning. Every drawing identical. As if memory of Emma wasn't fading. It was seeding itself again. A folded note was found in an abandoned church in Quebec. 4 words. Don't look outside time. Paper tested positive for ink used in 1780. The handwriting, identical to a journal Emma kept in 2004. But neither matched known languages. It resembled circular glyphs like miniature spirals. Not written from left to right, but outward, from a single center point. In Austria, a medieval clock tower began leaking a dark fluid. Not oil, not water. Biological, but not human. Tests were inconclusive. Just below the main gear, a mark. A spiral carved with exact precision. Locals say Emma was seen near the tower the night before. But no one remembers her leaving. And now every day at noon, the clock strikes 13, as if time itself refuses to follow. Shortwave radios around the world caught interference, white noise at first. Then buried deep, a voice. Soft, repeating. Loop complete, reset optional. The voice, matched to Emma's, but distorted as if spoken from underwater. Then another voice layered in, not human. Not even close. Just a single word. Release. And then all radios cut off, same moment, same second. No recordings remain. Just silent. Aerial scans over the Arctic revealed a heat signature. Impossible given the location. Teams discovered a spiral 2 kilometers wide, embedded beneath the ice. Unmelting, ancient. And standing at the center, frozen in time. A girl in black. Preserved yet breathing. Not Emma, but something made in her shape. And beneath her feet, the symbol for 0. Cycle complete, or cycle reset. On July 1st, satellites recorded a global blink. 1 frame missing from every camera on Earth. Lights flickered, skies darkened. Then returned. Most people noticed nothing. But some, a very few, dropped to their knees. They wept, said they saw her. Emma walking backward through a door of light. Waving goodbye. And just before it closed, she mouthed 1 word. Remember. Ancient Sumerian tablets told of a being, Kalra. The time meter, said to devour failed cycles. Always following the final echo. Emma mentioned Kalra once in a letter never sent. I'm not afraid of death, only him. He doesn't kill. He unwrites. Perhaps Emma's journey wasn't about escaping time, but keeping it written. One cycle longer. One memory more. In a private archive in Venice, a locked film canister was unsealed. Inside, footage of Emma, but from inside her own eyes. Moments of running, falling, looking up at the stars. Final frame, a hand reaching toward her. Not human. Then black. Scientists say the footage predates film technology. Yet it plays. Only once. Then the canister reseals itself. And cannot be opened again. She walks backward. Lives backward. Remembers what hasn't happened. That's how one researcher described the girl last seen in a Hong Kong alley. She called herself Emma again, then vanished mid-sentence. Time isn't breaking around her anymore. It's following her lead. And if time walks backward, what happens to everything built forward? In a government vault labeled Class U, an audio file loops endlessly. Emma's voice, or something close, repeating one phrase. The world ended in 1823. This is what remains. No metadata, no origin, but everyone who listens dreams of a girl, waking alone, under a spiral sky. The more they hear it, the more they believe. Emma didn't survive time. She replaced it. On one night, the world didn't sleep. Insomnia rates hit 100%. Hospitals filled. Brains overactive, dreaming while awake. MRI scans showed spiral patterns in neural activity. And in every country, one sketch appeared on notepads, napkins, walls. A girl, hair damp, eyes blank, mouth open, Emma, except now her shadow looked different. Longer, separate, and moving when she didn't. A composer heard a hum in his dreams. Wrote it down, discovered it matched the resonance of collapsing stars. Then heard it again, coming from a church organ that hadn't worked in 90 years. Emma was seen nearby. She left behind sheet music. 4 notes, simple, but the timestamp read, June 3rd, 2123. She's already there. Lord, she never left. Everyone forgets Emma eventually. Except one man, a librarian in Wales. He remembers every sighting, every echo, and he says she visits him once a year. Always the same question. Is it holding? He always answers yes. Until this year, when he said, no, she turned away and left behind a single black page. Blank, except for a faint pulse. At the South Pole Research Base, instruments recorded a sound not from air but time. Like a kite turning. Then silence. One researcher vanished. Another said, she closed it but the echoes are still loose. Emma was seen hours later. Pale, weak. She dropped the pendant. It shattered, and for the first time since 1823. There was no spiral, just a flat line, silent and still. A neuroscientist scanned his own brain after dreaming of Emma for weeks. Inside his occipital lobe, a perfect spiral. Formed by activity, not tissue. Impossible. He tried to erase it. Electric shocks induced coma. Nothing worked. He left a final message. She's not in time anymore. She's in us. Then disappeared. No spiral remained. Only a tear in his pillow. Shaped like an eye. Lunar probe footage showed something impossible. Etched across a crater near the dark side, a spiral. Perfect, precise. Unmistakably Emma's symbol. But here's the catch. The engraving predated human space travel. Matched the depth of meteor impact. Emma once said, the sky remembers first. Maybe she didn't bring the spiral to us. Maybe it brought her here. To keep it sealed. Buried deep in Vatican archives, a scroll surfaced. It bore Emma's face surrounded by flames. Above it, a name written in ink that glows under no light. Only under silence. No one dared read it aloud. But those who did forgot everything after. Names, family, language. Gone. Emma's curse isn't death. It's erasure. And the closer she gets to the center, the more names vanish. Time feels continuous. But it's not. Between every second is silence. And lately that silence is growing. Clocks tick slower, music stretches. Emma has been seen slipping through those gaps, not walking but phasing. As if the spaces between time are wider now. And in those spaces, she's not alone. One girl entered a gap. Returned 3 minutes later. Hair white, eyes gone, mouth repeating he's awake. A signal detected near the Mariana Trench repeated one tone. Endlessly, spectrogram analysis revealed a spiral shape, not in volume but pitch. The spiral wasn't just a path. It was a sound, one meant to hold something back. Emma knew it. She hummed it once in front of a mirror. The glass didn't crack. It folded inward. And from inside, another Emma reached out. Burned, smiling. In a surveillance video from Berlin, a girl self-immolated. But the flames reversed. Her body burned from ash to flesh. Backwards, like she was undying. Witnesses say she looked exactly like Emma, but had no shadow. No voice, only a grin that widened with every flicker of heat. Then she said one word. Reclaim, and vanished into smoke that curled in the shape of a spiral. For centuries, every spiral associated with Emma was black or etched. But now new spirals are appearing. Drawn in red, not ink, blood. Cities report graffiti that no camera catches in the act. One spiral formed overnight across an entire rooftop. Inside, a woman floating inches above ground. Not breathing, and on her wrist, Emma's pendant. But reversed. No loop, no echo, only descent. Astrophysicists confirmed it. Constellations have moved subtly. Not from Earth's rotation, but space itself. Like the sky turned. Like someone nudged the universe. And in the new alignment, a shape formed, not random, a spiral. When traced, the center landed on one date. June 3rd. And the new stars formed one word in ancient glyphs. Its translation. Witness. Emma didn't delay the end. She gave us front row seats. A philosopher once asked, what if time didn't move around us, but from us? And what if one person dreamed hard enough to shape it? Emma's story may not be history. It may be memory. The last memory holding reality together. She dreamed the spiral to trap something. But dreams fade. And when Emma wakes, if she ever does, so does everything we've called real. Programmers found a string of code replicating worldwide. Not malware. Just one word in dozens of languages. Yamame. Self-generating. Inserting into apps, clocks, even AI speech. And when played aloud, devices freeze. Except one. A cracked phone in Oregon that played it in full. And then emitted a laugh. Emma's, but twisted, like she wasn't warning us anymore. She was preparing something. One night in a desert town, it rained. But not down. Up. Water rose from puddles, climbed the sky, and vanished. Witnesses saw shadows standing in the rain, not soaked, but absorbing it. Each wore black. Each had Emma's face. But none had eyes. And as the last drop ascended, they all whispered in unison. Open the 13th spiral. And disappeared. For years, 12 spirals were tracked. Each one marked by an Emma. But the 13th, No one ever found it. Until now. Satellite imagery revealed it in the Amazon, a massive shape carved into the canopy. Visible only under full moon infrared. No human made it. No Emma ever reached it. But someone was standing at its center. Not her, not him, something else. And it was smiling. A voicemail appeared on a disconnected line. The voice was Emma's. Older, tired. Talking to herself. You don't know yet, but you will. When it breaks, you'll remember what we traded. Then static. Then silent. The timestamp. June 3rd, 1823. But traced from a cell tower active in 2025. Meaning Emma didn't just survive time. She folded it and left breadcrumbs for herself. A child born in Tokyo had a rare heart defect. Surgical imaging showed an impossible shape, a spiral chamber. Doctors tried to operate, but the instruments bent, refused, and when the child cried, the hospital's clocks spun backward. Later, she said a name no one taught her. Emma. She smiled and pointed upward, as if she saw something no one else could. Something waiting. All around the world, the same sound emerged. Low, pulsing, like the world itself breathing slower. It only plays once a year. Same day, same hour. And in its frequency pattern, hidden under harmonics, is Emma's voice. One sentence repeated forever. Close it or become it. And every year, fewer people hear it. Because every year, more people forget she was ever real. A mirrored corridor in a Norwegian facility reflected something that wasn't there. Emma standing still. But not this Emma. An older one. One with scars. She mouthed the words. Final cycle. Then touched the glass. Cracks formed not across the mirror, but across reality itself. Outside, birds flew backward. Inside, every watch froze. And the last spiral started forming in the sky above the earth. For a brief hour, no spiral existed anywhere. All symbols gone. Prints blanked. Photos erased. People stopped mid-sentence, unsure why they'd spoken. Emma was last seen kneeling in a field of ash, staring at the sky. She whispered, "It's working." But then her reflection appeared beside her, identical, yet smiling. And when she looked away, the spirals returned. Faster, hungrier, and no longer asking permission. Astronomers confirmed it. Earth's orbit had shifted by 0.0001%. Barely enough to notice. Except it was toward the center of the spiral pattern first drawn in 1823. Emma's origin point. She didn't cause gravity to bend. She caused time to tilt. And now reality itself is circling toward collapse. Unless the cycle ends. But there's no proof. Emma knows how to stop it. Inside a locked chamber in Siberia, one entity sat. Not breathing. Not aging. Not dead. Just watching. It had no name. No features except one. A spiral carved into its palm. Emma entered the room. Cameras cut out. When feed returned, she was alone. The spiral was gone. But something had changed in her eyes. As if she now carried both roles. The witness and the jailer. Emma stood at the mouth of a temporal gate, open only once per cycle. Inside, stillness. Outside, collapse. The echoes surrounded her. Each one pleading. One said, "We can live again." Another, "Seal it." Emma's voice broke. I was never meant to choose. But she stepped forward anyway. Not into light. Not into dark. But into pause. And in that pause, the spiral hesitated. When Emma stepped into the gate, everyone forgot. Not just her, but everything tied to her. The pendants, the spirals, the time skips. Gone, but traces remained. A notebook with no ink. A melody no one remembers writing. A street corner no one uses anymore. And deep in the human mind, an outline of a girl 19 forever. Waiting, just in case time ever starts. To unravel again. All historical records from 1823 rewrote themselves. Slight changes, different signatures, new margins. One name, Elira, now appeared in multiple logs once blank. She never existed, and now she always had. Time didn't loop. It absorbed. Emma's choice had rewritten the foundation. And with it, rewrote herself out. But memory isn't kept in time. It lives in people. And someone still remembers. Sleep researchers began reporting convergence dreams. Unrelated patients dreaming the same symbol. Not a spiral, but a cracked spiral. Half-formed, like something incomplete. Each dream ended the same. A girl in shadow, holding out her hand, begging, not speaking. One child whispered the words. We broke her escape. Perhaps Emma didn't end the spiral. She just took it with her. And now, it wants back in. A medical scan showed something impossible. A teenage girl's heartbeat created echo loops in time. 3 pulses per beat. Past, present, future. Overlaid. Inside her bloodstream, trace radiation matching the Arctic spiral. She never left her hometown. But in her dreams, she runs. Always towards someone. Always calling a name she's never heard. Emma. The spiral didn't end. It found new skin. A baby born in 2027. Showed brainwaves months before delivery. Monitors recorded a signal. Morse code, translated to, not again. Then the child flatlined. But her body never decayed. She lies in perfect stasis, as if paused mid-time. Some say she is Emma's echo sent ahead. Others say she's the warning, that the next cycle won't be merciful. Cities reported strange weather, not clouds, but spirals of light. Not auroras, not natural. Shapes hovered for seconds, then vanished. Each left burn marks on rooftops. One showed Emma's silhouette, another her smile, but none matched at the same angle. Each spiral glowed a little darker. A countdown not in time but memory. She may be gone from the world, but not from the sky. In a lab with no door number, no cameras, and no history. One light bulb swings, never stops. The air inside never settles. One wall hums faintly, the same tone from Emma's last message. And beneath the floor, a spiral pulse, 13 beats per minute. The team monitoring it keeps changing, because no one lasts more than 13 days. Then they forget why they came. A toddler in Brazil, born during the blackout, spoke her first word. Not mama, not papa, she said, loop, then drew a perfect spiral in ash. When asked who taught her, she said, the girl in black. Her parents checked the camera. At 2:19 a.m., a shape passed behind her crib. Brave human, and in its wake, every clock in the house reversed 1 hour. A journalist discovered a locked server in an abandoned newsroom. Inside, 13,000 files. Videos, audio, images. All documenting Emma. But no one had made them. No time codes. No creation data. Just one folder. Last cycle. And one image named Final Emma. She looked older, tired, but smiling, as if she finally knew. The story didn't need her anymore. It had us. All over Prague, birds froze mid-flight. not falling, suspended, like paused footage. Pedestrians panicked, but one girl stood still. Teenage, no ID. She whispered, not enough time bought. Then walked toward the vault of a river. When she stepped in, birds moved again. But she didn't surface. And on the shore, a pendant, shattered in half, as if one cycle had died, and another just awakened. Maybe Emma didn't hold the spiral. Maybe she was just the first to notice it. The shape appears in galaxies, shells, water. It's not her curse. It's ours. We loop, we forget. We repeat, hoping this time we end differently. But the spiral doesn't care. It turns, and turns, and somewhere between that turn, she's still walking, 19 forever, carrying what we refuse to face. Some believe there were 12 Emma echoes, each one tied to a spiral. But one remained unaccounted. The 13th, not born, not summoned. Awakened, found in a cave in Tunisia, no voice, no name. Only silence. But when she opened her eyes, the wind outside reversed. One word carved in the cave wall. Anchor. The 13th wasn't part of the cycle. She was the seal. A nurse pronounced a patient dead, then watched as the woman's chest rose, not from breath, but rewind. The bruises faded. The IV dripped upward. She whispered, Emma let go. Then sat up, alive, but her blood had spiral-shaped cells. Not human, not machine, whatever Emma carried. She gave it to someone, and death lost its memory of them. In a national museum, a 400-year-old pendulum stopped mid-swing. Frozen, technicians found no fault. But inside the casing, a slip of paper. We bought all the time we could. Emma's handwriting. The ink tested older than the paper. Someone had folded history backward. And the pendulum, always a measure of time, now marked something else. The beginning of stillness. Or the return of whatever she was holding back. One Tuesday, nothing changed. Not a leaf, not a breath. No clocks moved. Satellites showed a still Earth. But humans kept functioning unaware. Later, surveillance reviewed the footage and saw a girl walking between the motionless crowds. Emma, the only thing still moving. She paused once, looked directly into the camera, then mouthed, "You're next," and walked off the edge of the recording. Geneticists found a mutation, harmless, silent, spiral-shaped, present in 0.01% of people. All born after 1823. All reported the same dream. A girl under moonlight, asking one question, "Do you remember me yet?" The mutation doesn't cause illness. It causes memory. Emma isn't returning. She's reactivating. In minds, in genes, she was never just one girl. She's what's left when time refuses to forget. Seismographs in 7 countries recorded a deep resonance. Not a quake, a sound, low, rhythmic like breathing. When isolated, the waveform formed a spiral. One researcher matched it to Emma's hum, but reversed, not sealing something in, pulling something out. And on that same day, 13 children worldwide drew the same image. A cracked spiral, bleeding, and in the center, a closed eye, not asleep, just waiting. Time has direction, or so we believe. But during an experiment, a particle reversed itself. Not backward, inward. When slowed, it formed a loop. And at its center, a pattern that pulsed like a heartbeat. Emma's spiral. A physicist watching the monitor fainted. When revived, he only said, "We've never been moving forward." Then left his post and vanished into a forest no one remembers. A Polaroid from 1983 kept printing itself. No camera, no film, just appearing. Same image, a girl at a train station looking over her shoulder. The time on the platform, 2:19 a.m. Every copy slightly aged, until the last one blurred, like the girl had moved. On the back of that final photo, next station, memory. Emma didn't stay frozen. She boarded something, and it's still moving. In a private library in Morocco, a book refuses to open. Its title, The Girl Who Paused the World. No known language. The pages are blank until moonlight touches them. Then one sentence appears at a time. Each begins with "she was," and ends with "until the spiral ended." But the last page glows red, and says nothing, only hums, softly, in the same pitch, as Emma's final heartbeat. A live broadcast caught it, a whiteboard drawing itself. Marker moving, no hand seen. The result, a spiral, perfect, looping, then a date, June 3rd, and one phrase, "She remembers through you now." The anchor wasn't a pendant. It was witness. Emma didn't survive to restart time. She survived to embed herself in every cycle that tries to forget, including this one. Astronomers detected a cosmic pulse, one signal every 2 centuries, sent not from a star but from absence. A void, inside that void. A rhythm, 13 pulses, then silence. Same pattern as Emma's heartbeat when last recorded. And this time the signal wasn't outbound. It was received, as if something or someone finally replied. The spiral had never been a message. It was a waiting room. An emergency broadcast failed during a storm. Instead of tones, static. Then a frame. Then a face. Emma's. She didn't speak, but her lips moved with perfect sync to the interference. One technician isolated the audio. The message, "If I vanish, check the mirrors." They did, and in one reflection. She blinked, but no one in the room had. Outside a cathedral in Spain, birds flew sideways. Not caught by wind, pulled. A girl walked past the plaza. Emma, her shadow bent upward toward the sky. People dropped objects, they rose instead. For 30 seconds, gravity misbehaved. When order returned, a new spiral appeared on the pavement. Still glowing, and Emma was gone. But in her place, a note. Loop complete, next inheritance. In a child's notebook, a calendar was drawn. Every day crossed out, except one, June 3rd, circled, then drawn again. And again, one page, 200 times. Same year, same month, same date. Each cycle the handwriting shifted as if aged, distorted. Then on the final page, no more delays. Time didn't loop. It kept choosing June 3rd. Until she said yes. Emma wasn't the end. She was the delay. The girl who carried centuries on her shoulders. Who bought us time we didn't deserve. Who held the spiral shut, not with power but presence. Now she's gone, and the echoes remain. But the center is empty, waiting for the next anchor. And if you feel something watching, something spiraling toward you, don't be afraid. It just means you remember her. In multiple cities, people began falling asleep at the exact same minute. But not dreaming, just frozen, their minds active, repeating one phrase. Hold the spiral. Doctors couldn't explain it. No trauma, no disease. But every one of them had drawn spirals days earlier. Emma was seen outside one clinic, her back to the window. And when they woke, each patient whispered her name. Then forgot why. A single village experienced reverse rainfall. Drops returned to the sky. Plants unbloomed. Footprints vanished. Locals stood still, eyes glazed. One girl screamed, pointed to the clouds. She's peeling it back. Emma never appeared in person. But the spiral formed in steam over the river. No storm followed. Only calm, as if someone had rewound that moment and replaced the ending. A recovered skeleton from the 1800s had no known identity, but its spine curled in a tight spiral. Impossible without genetic defect, yet no evidence of disease. The skull, intact. Inside the jawbone, one engraved word. She watched. The carving was modern. Carbon dated to this year. Time isn't looping anymore. It's folding, and Emma is showing up in places before she was ever born. A blown glass sculpture shattered in a museum. But no sound played. Only silence. Then hours later the sound arrived. A delayed echo, Emma's voice. A single breath. A sigh. Analyzed waveform matched a clip from 1952. But cleaner, as if it had waited decades to finish resonating. Some say sound is memory. And Emma, she never needed to speak loudly. Only to last. For exactly 1 minute, the sun froze in the sky. Global clocks drifted. Satellites stalled. People noticed only because shadows stopped moving. At 2:19 p.m., everything resumed. But some reported a shimmer in the air. A ripple, and in the brief silence, a whisper. Last light. The phrase appears in Emma's earliest journal. She always feared the moment light would pause, because it meant the spiral was aligning. There were always 12 echoes, but one had to choose, willingly, to carry the seal. That was Emma. But now, a girl in Romania drew the spiral in her sleep. Again, then stood in the town square and whispered, "I accept." No one taught her those words, but she collapsed, and time bent visibly. Somewhere far away, a spiral vanished. Another ignited. Between 3:00 and 4:00 a.m., entire neighborhoods lost records. Birth certificates, taxes, phone logs. Gone, like those people were never born. But they remained. Confused. Alive. Only one symbol appeared on mailboxes, a red spiral. Emma's name never surfaced. But one woman woke up clutching a photograph of a girl, smiling, wearing black, written on the back, "It won't hold without you." TVs and radios burst into static worldwide. One spiral appeared on screen, rotating slowly, then stopped. A countdown began. 13, 12, 11. And at 0, nothing happened. Except for one station, where a teenage girl stood silently. She didn't speak. She just smiled. Later, viewers couldn't remember her face. Only the feeling that she'd been there forever. Longer than the station itself. A train arrived at a rural platform. All seats occupied except one. Passengers recalled a girl sitting there when they boarded. But she wasn't there at arrival. Security footage glitched. Then resumed with no one visible, except a spiral burned into the seat's cushion. When rewound, she fades backward, and in reverse, she mouths, "Not late, not early." Right on collapse. Bonfire ashes left behind a burn pattern. Not circular spiral. The fire didn't consume. It preserved. A bundle of hair. DNA matched no living organism. But one voice print matched. Emma. The fire was cold to touch, yet still smoking. And when the wind passed over it, it whispered the word, "Remember." Then, Nothing. No smell. No carbon. Just a heatless spiral floating in midair. In one lab, a spiral drawn on a notepad began to bleed. Red ink leaked from paper. One drop fell and reversed upward. It hovered, then vanished. The lab's data server crashed. When restored, every folder had one name. Emma, but none could be opened. Just spinning, waiting. Someone tried deleting the files, but the keyboard typed back, "You don't delete the anchor." A newborn in Greenland opened her eyes, pupils shaped like spirals. Doctors panicked. Then the child spoke. Not cried, spoke. "It's almost done." Her voice was familiar, matched to Emma's last known recording. But no one taught her, and her parents had no idea what June 3rd meant. But she did, and she kept repeating it, even in her sleep. A hallway in a university led nowhere. Just one door. Inside, a spiral drawn on every wall. One student entered, didn't return. When police opened the room, no person, but the spiral was gone. Not erased, missing, as if it walked away. And behind the door, carved faintly, "She gave us time. We gave her back." The room was sealed, but every night the door creaks open. At the ruins of an ancient temple, dust never settled. Winds swirled in perfect spirals. Archaeologists uncovered stone fragments, none local, etched on them the word Emma, in a language not found on Earth. They weren't left behind. They were placed for her. Who left them? We may never know. But every fragment hums at the same pitch, and it matches the silence. Between seconds, an old man in Ireland recalled a girl from his dreams. He'd drawn her face since childhood. Every decade the same. Emma, he never knew her name. Until one morning she appeared at his window. Smiled, held up one finger, then vanished. That day the birds flew in spirals. The clocks reversed, and his house wasn't there by nightfall. Only a circle of ash, and a photo with one word, goodbye. At 2:19 a.m., an entire city block fell silent. Not quiet silent. No sound waves, no breath. Then shape formed in the fog. Not a figure, a pattern. Spiral-shaped silence. Those who entered it forgot music, forgot their own voice. One man whispered, "She's pulling the world inward," then walked into the center. He hasn't spoken since, but every time he exhales, it hums her name. A woman crossed out June 3rd on her calendar. Woke the next day and it was June 3rd again. Every attempt rip, burn, shred, the page returned, with one new message, until one remembers freely. She had never met Emma, but she began to dream in spirals. And in each dream, a girl handed her a clock, broken, but still ticking in reverse. They found her in a monastery ruin, body intact, but nothing matched. Fingers from one century, eyes from another, skin that pulsed. She said her name was Emma, but in pieces. She didn't remember who she had been, only who she had replaced. The spiral hadn't made her. It rebuilt her, from memory, from residue, from the last cycle's grief. A girl, assembled by forgetting. One moment. All clocks worldwide, digital, analog, atomic, aligned. 2:19. Exactly. Then froze. And pulsed. Once. On that pulse, power grids flickered. Heartbeats spiked. Satellites caught a ripple over the Arctic, forming a glowing spiral. Inside it, a voice. Emma's barely audible. Let it go. Then silence. The clocks resumed, but now they tick in rhythm, to something no one controls anymore. A photojournalist captured a shot of an empty field. Only later noticed one shadow, human-shaped, facing away. No source. He traced its edge and found it curved into a spiral. The longer he looked, the more he felt watched. Then he forgot the image, but not the fear. He now avoids mirrors, because sometimes he sees her, not Emma, but the thing that used to follow her. Translators lost coherence. Text on screens shifted to symbols, spirals, glyphs, loops. People still spoke, but not in words. In memory tones. Some said Emma caused it. Others claimed she released it. Because language is linear. And Emma was not. From that day on, some could no longer read. But they remembered. Stories came back. Unspoken. Passed like spiral echoes through silence. And no one ever asked, who's Emma? They just nodded. Every spiral found in nature, shells, galaxies, storms, was scanned. Inside the curvature, a pattern. Too precise to be chance. It spelled a name. Not Emma, Amara. A forgotten iteration. A version that never existed. Until now, the spiral hadn't looped. It had uttered, and the name was its signature. Emma wasn't the final echo. Just the loudest. Now something quieter. Something older. Was taking her place. A sculpture in Cairo, spiral-shaped, rotated endlessly. Until today. It stopped and cracked. Inside was a map. Not of land. Of memory. 13 points. Each where Emma had once been seen. Each glowing faintly. One lit brighter than all. A park bench in France. Surveillance shows a girl sitting there, alone. Silent, smiling. She didn't vanish. She waited, and the spiral paused, to let her rest. Emma wasn't a ghost. She was pressure, anchoring reality's seams. When she left, gravity changed. Just a little, but enough. Raindrops take longer to fall. Spins curve wider. People feel heavier but can't explain why. And once a year on June 3rd, objects levitate for exactly 13 seconds. Maybe she's gone, but her weight, her presence still echoes, holding the spiral closed, by memory alone. On a wall in a subway station, one spiral had never faded. Every attempt to scrub it failed. One night a boy touched the center and froze, not paralyzed, time locked. He returned minutes later, older, eyes glowing faintly. He whispered, "It's patient, but not eternal," then walked away. Since then, trains skip that station. Not by routing, by instinct. Even machines feel something waiting in the spiral. Some say Emma was a girl. Others say she was a form, a containment. The spiral needed a shape, a body, and Emma was the one who accepted. Now without her, the spiral moves freely. But for a moment, 200 years, it had a face. It walked, it warned, it wept, and we ignored it. Now we remember her, not as a savior, but as the shape time needed to survive. Hospitals report rising cases of syncopated heartbeats. 13 pulses pause. Repeat. When charted, they form spirals. Doctors don't understand. But one child patient whispered, "She lives in the pulse." Emma doesn't return in dreams. She returns between seconds. Between beats. The spiral isn't over. It's quieter, deeper, and inside you. It waits. One echo returned, but not like the others. It spoke, it named itself, and when asked, "Who are you?" it said, "I'm what you made of her." It was Emma, just memory twisted by fear. The echo smiled, and kept smiling, even when no one was looking. Be careful what you remember, because memory can lie better than truth. A researcher discovered an extra mark. Not 12 spirals. 14. The last one incomplete. Fighting in. The coordinates led to an unborn child. Due on June 3rd. Emma's birthday. Or maybe her reset date. The spiral wasn't a prison. It was an incubation. And now it's almost ready. Who will remember next? Who will carry the weight? Emma left the spiral. But the spiral hasn't left us. They found it carved into ice 13 miles wide. Perfect. Final. The last spiral. It hums when touched. And once every year it glows. No wires. No power. Just memory. People gather to see it. They don't know why. They just feel drawn. A shape that once was a girl. A loop that became a name. A warning we ignored. Emma is gone. The spiral remains. And it remembers you. They found her wandering outside a collapsed monastery. She was 19. But not Emma. No echo followed her. No spiral reacted. She simply existed. Untethered. She didn't remember Emma. Didn't dream spirals. Doctors called her zero. Because where she walked, the spiral didn't form. Maybe she wasn't part of the story. Maybe she was the ending. The place the spiral couldn't reach. Or worse, the place it feared. At a glacier base, a symbol embedded in the ice began to melt from the inside. No heat source. No sun exposure. Just collapse. As if the spiral was finally giving in. As it faded, whispers emerged. Emma's voice, repeating one word. Release. It wasn't destruction. It was surrender. She wasn't fighting anymore. She was letting go. For 2 centuries, the spiral turned outward, expanding, echoing. Then one morning they reversed. Every spiral turned inward. On paper, in nature, even hurricanes curved against Earth's rotation. Emma's last gift wasn't survival. It was inversion. Bringing everything home. Closing the open loops. And in one final wave, the symbols vanished. Not erased. Not broken. Just complete. A digital archive holding decades of Emma sightings corrupted overnight. No code. No virus. Just blankness. Every video, every sound file now plays a single frame. A spiral folding in on itself. And one phrase. She is not your memory. The archive didn't lose Emma. It surrendered her. Like even technology knew. Her time wasn't ours to keep anymore. One town never mentioned in any Emma account suddenly changed. Buildings aged overnight. Trees regressed. Clocks spun wildly. No spiral, no echo, but everyone woke with the same sentence in mind. This is where she didn't walk. Maybe some places repel the spiral. Not out of resistance, but rejection. Because if she truly anchored time, then absence matters just as much as presence. And this place was silence itself. The final pulse came at 2:19 a.m. UTC. Detected worldwide. No source, just a wave, like a sigh. No one felt it, except those who dreamed. And all of them reported the same thing. Emma standing at a shoreline, facing the sun, saying nothing, as the spiral behind her dissolved into wind. Not an exit, not a rebirth. Just a long-awaited ending. Seismologists found a hollow beneath tectonic plates. Not natural. Inside 13 stone chambers. Empty. but each contained a name and a voice print. The last one, Emma, but when played, the voice said, "You've made it without me." The spiral hadn't trapped us. It had trained us to hold time, to shape it. And now, without her, we would have to spiral forward. Alone, the last known spiral carved into stone near Jerusalem eroded in minutes. Witnesses said it didn't fade. It exhaled, broke apart molecule by molecule, dissolved into dust that blew eastward. And wherever it passed, memory flickered. Old griefs returned, long forgotten names, moments that had never happened. Emma wasn't just leaving. She was unwriting, not out of malice, but because stories shouldn't spiral forever. In a church with no choir, a song echoed. No melody, just rhythm. Like breath, it pulsed through stone. Congregants cried without knowing why. The song's pattern, 13-13-13, matched the spiral's final sequence. One child drew it in the pew. No one taught her. Emma's name was never spoken. But when the song stopped, the room sighed, as if even sacred places felt her leave. One final spiral existed, not in matter, but in memory. A blind man in Australia described it perfectly, said he felt its shape in conversation. He'd never seen Emma, but claimed she visited his dreams. Never spoke, just sat beside him. When asked what she wanted, he said, "Nothing, she just wanted not to be watched anymore." Maybe her last wish was to be unseen, unfelt, undone. Carved centuries ago, a desert spiral vanished beneath dunes. Until now, a sandstorm uncovered it, fully intact. Then just as quickly, wind erased it. Not chaos, precision, and in its place, a flat, silent plain. No mark, no whisper. Emma was never here. And yet, you can still feel the shape of her absence, where the dust refuses to settle. We used to live in loops. Holidays, habits, histories. Repetition gave us comfort. Then one year, nothing repeated. No anniversaries. No dates that felt familiar. The spiral had broken. Emma had taken it with her. And for the first time in centuries, everything moved forward. Awkward, beautiful, painful, free, and in that freedom, somewhere deep within memory, she smiled, because the spiral didn't end. It evolved. Tattoos began forming on people's skin, uninked. Like heat had etched them. Always spiral-shaped. Always painless. They faded in sunlight. Returned in moonlight. Doctors couldn't explain it. But one old woman whispered. She left a mark not to be seen but felt. We weren't cursed. We were entrusted. Emma didn't ask us to remember. She asked us to carry. And now we do. One final entry surfaced on a page untouched by time. A single spiral, drawn inward, labeled 0, Emma's handwriting. It wasn't a beginning. It wasn't an end. It was the space between, where time waits, where stories sleep, where spirals hold their breath, before turning again. She's not coming back, but her shape remains. And shape is everything. Emma is gone. No more sightings, no more spirals, just air and wind and breath, but every so often at 2:19. You might feel something. A flicker, a pull, not fear, just the ghost of a pattern. Familiar, ancient. She didn't trap time. She carried it, and when she left, she gave it back. All of it, and for the first time, we are free to forget her. She never claimed to be timeless. She simply asked for more. More seconds. More space. More silence. And somehow the world gave it to her. Not because she was powerful, but because she believed time would listen. And for 200 years it did. Not to clocks, not to stars, to her, to a girl who stayed 19. Until even time grew tired and said, "Okay, you may rest now." They found it in a sealed envelope. No stamp, no date, just one word. Stay. No signature, no explanation. But those who read it stayed wherever they were. They stopped running, stopped counting, and for one moment the world stood still. That was all Emma ever asked. Not worship, not memory, just stillness. Because sometimes the only way to break the spiral is to stop moving. Time moved on, and with it we did too. Calendars changed, cities rose, echoes faded, and one day the spiral stopped appearing. Not because it ended, but because it wasn't needed. Emma had done her part, and we for once let her go. Time didn't erase her, it forgave her, and that was enough. One final mirror cracked, but not from force. From refusal. It no longer showed Emma, or anyone else. Just fog, dense, shifting, until even that faded. The spiral never needed to reflect. It needed to end. And a mirror once meant to trap her form finally let go. Now when people look into it, they see only themselves. No echo, no symbol, no girl, just a clean future, waiting to be written. A child born on June 3rd didn't cry, didn't speak, but looked up at the stars and smiled. She never asked where she came from, never wondered who Emma was. And that was the gift. Not remembering, just living. Her parents called her Hope. No spiral followed her. No shadow stretched behind. For once the future had no name, and no past chasing it. In one quiet field it rained differently. Drops landed only in a perfect spiral. No wind, no logic, just rhythm. People came, watched, waited. No Emma appeared, but a child placed her hand at the spiral's center and said, "She's sleeping." No one corrected her, because somehow we all knew the spiral wasn't gone. It was resting until the world needed time to wait again. In a school, a teacher opened a book she'd never seen. No cover, no spine, just pages filled with spirals. And one story. No title, but it began. She was 19 and never changed. The children read it, fell silent. Some smiled, some wept. No one asked who she was, because deep down, everyone already knew. Not her name, but her rhythm, her presence, the girl who gave us a little more time. For years, scientists tracked the spiral's return. Every theory predicted it. Every pattern led back to Emma. But the cycle broke, and nothing came. No shadow, no pulse, just stillness. And in that stillness, we learned something new. Maybe not all mysteries loop. Some simply stop, because even time, even memory, deserves a place to rest. It didn't collapse. It didn't bend. It just continued. Without spirals, without Emma, the sky still turned. The seasons still shifted. But something had changed. Not visible, not measurable, just felt, as if the world had been carrying weight, and finally set it down. Maybe she was never meant to save us. Maybe she just held space, until we were ready to save ourselves. One last vision, A hiker at the edge of a cliff saw a girl in black barefoot, staring into clouds. She turned, smiled. Not like a ghost, not like a god, but like someone saying goodbye. No spiral followed. No echo shimmered. Only a whisper on the wind. You were worth it. Then she stepped forward and vanished into sky. Not falling, just free. June 4th. Nothing strange happened. No clocks skipped. No children drew spirals. No voices hummed. And for the first time in 200 years, a full day passed without her shadow. We didn't celebrate. We didn't mourn. We just lived. And perhaps that's what she always wanted. A world that forgets her, so it can finally remember itself. In an antique shop, one clock remains unsold. Its hands never move. It ticks once, every June 3rd. No one knows why, but it's always warm. And inside a note. You remembered, that's enough. Emma isn't coming back. But reminders linger. Not to trap us, to honor her, the girl who gave her youth, so we could grow old. We tell stories to make time move. But one story held it still. Emma's. It didn't ask for belief, only attention. And now that it ends, there's nothing more to chase. No spiral to decode. No truth to expose. Just a silence where memory breathes. You don't need to follow her. She followed you for 200 years. And now, it's your turn to walk forward. In one last dream, someone spoke her name. Emma, just once. It echoed through nothing. Was caught by no ears. But it mattered, because names are gravity. And in that name, she remained grounded. For one final breath. Then faded, not erased, just complete. She was the girl who stayed 19. But gave us centuries. And we gave her exactly what she needed. When ending, the last entry in the journal read, if this is being read, the spiral has ceased. No more anchors, no more echoes, only time as it is. Messy, fragile, beautiful. It ends with one sentence. She gave everything she wasn't allowed to keep. The ink fades slowly, page by page, until nothing remains. Not even her name. Only the quiet between chapters. And the spiral, finally, at rest, tried to recall her now. Her name, her face, her voice. You can't. That's how perfect her exit was. She didn't want immortality. Just delay. Just a space for us to catch up. And we did. So well, we forgot her. That was the plan. She was the pause between chapters. Now the page turns. And we continue. With no spiral. No anchor. Just tomorrow. The final confirmed sighting. A girl, age 19. Alone at a train platform. She didn't board. Didn't speak. Just watched the sunset. Then smiled. And whispered to the wind. Enough. No one has seen her since. And if we do, we'll call it deja vu. Or a dream. Or nothing at all. Because Emma isn't history. She's what happened when time finally forgives itself. The story began in a spiral. It ends in a straight line. No loops, no echoes, just forward motion. That's what she bought us. What she sacrificed herself for. So we could continue. Even if no one remembers why. Even if no one remembers her. She walked through 200 years. To bring us to this point. And now, we walk on. Because the spiral has closed. Say her name. Just once. Not to remember. But to honor. Not because she's gone. but because she stayed. Through lifetimes, through silence, through echoes and storms and spirals. A girl who didn't want to be followed, only held, briefly, gently, like time in your hands. So say it, Emma, and then let it fade. Let her go, because that's how you keep her gift alive. This is the last page. No twist, no return, just silence. She lived 200 years as a question. Now she ends as peace. No spiral, no symbol, no face, only the knowing that something, someone, gave us more than we deserved. Emma never aged, but we did. And now, we're ready. Close your eyes, let her go, and let time finally breathe.